Hi there, welcome to The Page Writer. I'm Steve Rogers. This week we're going to be talking about something that is very confusing, and a lot of really great teachers ask me this one particular question. They say, could you please explain to me the differences between persuasive writing and argumentative writing? Now, at the younger grades, this is often just all lumped up into one topic called opinion writing, but it's still critically important to know the differences and talk about these differences with your third and fourth grade students. As they get older, then they will have some background knowledge so they can decipher and determine which type of opinion writing they are doing, persuasive or argumentative. By the time you get into the upper grades, 7th and 8th grade, and then definitely once they get into high school, their main focus is going to be on argumentative writing. But let's go ahead and break down what the differences are so you as an educator are confident that you can answer your students' questions and model for them the key elements of each specific genre. Let's go ahead and get started with persuasive. In persuasive writing, the big focus is on two particular things. One is who is your target audience, and two, what is your call to action? Let's go ahead and focus on the call to action first. Why? Because if you do not know your call to action, you cannot determine who your target audience is. So typical call to actions for elementary students, they may be things like, I want to have a pet. I would like to get a new cell phone. I want my own computer. These are all things that young students can associate with. They want somebody to do something very specific. So those would be examples of a call to action. As you get to the upper grades, 6th, 7th, and definitely 8th grade, the call to action needs to move away from things that the student can do for themselves, the cell phones, computers, the new television for the room. Their call to actions need to move away from those and towards a larger real-world scenarios. For example, this is a great time to talk about advertising. Call to actions can be buy a car, buy a house, go on a vacation, visit an escape room. Older students are able to wrap their heads around these particular call to actions, and they have enough life experience, enough background knowledge that they can figure out who their target audience should be. Argumentative writing does not have a specific call to action. In argumentative writing, the author wants the general public, the reader, whoever they may be, to agree with their opinion. There's not one narrowed down type of audience as far as age goes, or gender, or income level. They want everyone who reads this particular article to agree with their opinion. Persuasive has a specific call to action. Now that students have a good idea of what their call to action is, they can narrow down their target audience. This is another key characteristic of persuasive writing. The target audience is laser specific. For the younger students, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and even somewhat into 5th grade, those call to actions that focus on things that the students want, cell phones, televisions, computers, that target audience oftentimes is going to be mom and dad. This is what they are used to doing in their life so far when it comes to the holidays, birthdays, this type of thing. So that target audience is not unusual for them. But the younger students need to start to broaden their horizons. Maybe instead of targeting mom and dad, maybe they're going to target a grandparent, an aunt or an uncle, a family friend. They could use these to determine, who's possibly going to do the call to action that they are hoping for. For the older students, when they start to determine their target audience, they're going to take these broader topics, these broader call to actions or real world call to actions, and they need to determine who specifically laser focused, who is that call to action going to apply to? If you're trying to sell a luxury car, are you targeting people of a certain age that have been established, their kids are out of the house, they have a higher income level? So these would be people more likely to purchase a luxury car. If you're trying to sell pickup trucks, there's a very good possibility that your target audience is going to be located more in rural or even suburban types of locations. You're going to be targeting tradespeople. Maybe you're going to be targeting some people that live out in the country on the farms. So a pickup truck is going to have a very different target audience than a little red convertible sports car. So the older students need to think about who are they trying to target. Another key characteristic of persuasive writing is emotion. Persuasive writing is extremely emotional. Argumentative writing is more professional in tone, more objective in tone, but persuasive writing can get quite passionate. Some of the strong emotions that persuasive writers use, they go after extreme happiness. They oftentimes will target fear. They will target anger as far as emotions. The other thing that persuasive writing does is it grabs a hold of very specific human desires. As humans, we have things that motivate us. We are very social creatures. There is always this desire for love, for family, for friendship, for community. We also desire safety. We desire food. We desire shelter. These are all things that authors of persuasive writing need to take into consideration. On my website, thepagewriter.com, for those of you that are members of the website, all of these different characteristics between persuasive and argumentative, they are broke down in detail with organizers. Students are able to use these and figure out what their call to action is, determine who their target audience is, and then they can go through the list of emotions and desires, and then they can figure out how specifically they need to write to that particular target audience. As far as argumentative writing goes, we've talked briefly as we've gone through persuasive some of the things that argumentative is or is not, I should say. For example, we just said that argumentative writing is not extremely emotional. It is more objective. As far as the point of view that is used, oftentimes in argumentative writing, we'll stick with the third person voice. He, she, him, her, they, them, that type of stuff. Now, younger students, it is definitely okay that they use first person when they write their argumentative papers, but for the more advanced students or students that are ready for it or they're showing that they're really grasping the genre of argumentative writing, try to move them away from first person and more into third person point of view when it comes to writing in the argumentative style. As we mentioned earlier, argumentative writing is all about a broad range of readers, people that you are writing to, and you want to get them to agree with your opinion. Now, probably most of you already know that with argumentative writing, the major difference is the fact that you need to identify the opposition. Who is it that is going to disagree with you? And you need to argue against them in a very professional and objective tone. Older students have done this for a little bit longer, so they are able to grasp the concept quicker. But as far as third and fourth graders go, what they want, they know they want it. And it's extremely difficult for some of them to digest the fact that there's people out there that would disagree with them. So argumentative writing for the younger grades, determining who's going to be the opposition, is something that is definitely a key factor to focus on. A great book that I like to use is I Wanna Iguana. Some people have said that this is persuasive, but I like to use it as an argumentative example because this child in this particular story that wants the iguana is constantly rebuttaling or arguing against his mother. She's like, well, I don't know if you should really have an iguana because, and he argues against that. So that's a very nice picture book, a good picture book to use to show the younger students what is argumentative writing. And even for some of the middle grades, 5th and 6th grade, it's not a bad idea to use it as a refresher course. So understand that in argumentative writing, you need to identify the opposition and you have to argue against it objectively. An excellent way to introduce argumentative writing for all ages of students is what I like to call the court trial. Have some sort of mystery case with a detective, and then go through there and find the evidence and have the students state an opinion, support it with the evidence. Other students can argue against it. My classes every year love to do court trial or detective type situations with argumentative writing. This is a great way to get them hooked, and by the end of this lesson, after a few days, they won't even realize that they've been writing this entire time. I hope that you have found these particular tips and the explanation between persuasive and argumentative writing helpful. For more resources, or if you'd like to become a part of the PageWriter family, make sure you go right down there to the link, thepagewriter.com. Subscribe to the channel. Please put in the comments or email me anything that you would like to see covered as far as writing for grades 3 through 8. And for all of you YouTube viewers, make sure that you use the code DISCOUNT50 for 50% off of our subscription price. Until next time, I'm Steve Rogers for The Page Writer.